Pokémon Scarlet and Violet is the latest entry from Game Freak. It's the most ambitious game in terms of what it attempts to do in gameplay and its open world elements. Unfortunately, the execution here is really bad. The game has significant technical issues, and some players are in fact trying to get refunds from the lackluster attempt from Game Freak. This game's full of bugs, and quite a lot of silly bugs. To be fair, most of those bugs are visual in nature and not game-breaking when it comes to progression, but it does look really bad. The game also suffers from performance issues. It can't hold a stable 30 FPS, often dropping into the low 20s. It's poorly optimized for the Nintendo Switch hardware, and some might say the Nintendo Switch here is to blame. But when I see games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey run so well on the Switch, I'm not really sure it's the Switch hardware's fault. I mean, visually, those other two games look much better than Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. It's no doubt that Pokémon Scarlet Violet makes the Nintendo Switch hardware work hard, which usually also means bad battery life. Here's the battery life of past Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch Lite and the standard Switch version 2 hardware. So far, Sword and Shield has the title for the worst battery life, while Pokemon Let's Go has the best battery life amongst traditional Pokemon games. So how will Pokemon Scarlet and Violet do? I think it's gonna do bad, but let's find out. We'll be testing on the Switch Lite, the standard version 2 console, and the Switch OLED. All three consoles are at medium settings, so brightness at medium, sound at medium, and I am connected to Nintendo Online at all times. With the battery at 100%, let's get this test started. At the 1 hour mark, there's 72% on the Switch Lite, 78% on the standard version 2, and 81% on the OLED Switch. After 2 hours, there's 43% on the Lite, 56% on V2, and 61% on the OLED. We're going on 3 hours now, and Switch Lite has 15% battery, the standard Switch has 34%, and Switch OLED has 40%. Switch Lite got the 1% warning at 3 hours and 25 minutes. And Pokemon Scarlet Violet on the Switch Lite powered off soon after at 3 hours and 38 minutes. After 4 hours, there's still 12% left on the standard console and 20% on the Switch OLED. The version 2 standard console got the 1% warning at 4 hours and 26 minutes. And Pokemon Scarlet Violet on the standard version 2 console powered off at 4 hours and 43 minutes. Switch OLED got the 1% warning at 4 hours and 51 minutes. And Pokemon Scarlet Violet on Switch OLED lasted 5 hours and 13 minutes. Here's a summary of Scarlet Violet on all Switch consoles. I included here the launch edition version 1 hardware, and you'll be lucky to get 2.5 hours of battery life on that. I actually suspect much worse for most users because batteries do tend to lose some life after years of use. Here's how Pokemon Scarlet Violet battery life compares to other Pokemon games. As expected, it has the worst battery life so far. These results are at medium settings on the standard version 2 console. So clearly Game Freak didn't optimize this game. It makes the Switch hardware work pretty hard. Now you might be thinking, is this the worst game I've tested in terms of battery life? And interestingly enough, it's not. The worst goes to Mario Strikers Battle League, which gets just over 4.5 hours of battery life on the Switch OLED. That game, however, is really well optimized, and that actually targets a stable 60 FPS frame rate. I do suspect the day and night cycle in Pokemon Scarlet Violet might have helped it get better battery life on the Switch OLED. So there you have it, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The worst Pokemon game if you hate bugs, the worst Pokemon game if you hate performance issues, the worst Pokemon game if you hate lazy efforts by game developers, and the worst Pokemon game when it comes to battery life on the Nintendo Switch. but it is the best selling Pokemon game to date, selling over 10 million copies in just 3 days. At $60 a pop, that's close to 600 million US in 3 days. So I doubt things are changing at Game Freak, because where it really matters, making money for Nintendo, this game did make a lot of money.